Hey, church family. Hope you're all doing well. So good to be with you again on this Wednesday for a little midweek Bible study. And for the next few weeks or couple of weeks, we are going to be looking at a passage of Scripture, a section of Scripture in Matthew chapter 16. And contained within this section of Scripture that we're going to be looking at is a question that, although it was asked nearly 2,000 years ago, is still a question that is equally as important and applicable to us today as it was back then. So let's go ahead and read our passage, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll spend most of our time talking about the rest of the passage over the next few weeks. So let's read from Matthew chapter 16, starting in verse 14. Here's what Matthew writes. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." And here's the question. "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then he warned his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Christ. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, chief priests, and teachers of the law, and then he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, this shall never happen to you." Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the things of God, but the things of men." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will find it. What good will it be for a man if he gains the whole world yet forfeits his soul? Or what can a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what he has done." Life is filled with many questions. Most we forget. After a little time passes by, they're simply not important to us. What time is it? What do you want for lunch? What do you want to watch on TV tonight? Some we remember. They set the stage for life that follows. Where do you want to go to college? Where do we want to live? What do you want to do for a living? Some we'd like to forget. They remind us of mistakes, failures, or foolish decisions. How could you do such a thing? Why did I invest in that? Didn't you know you would get caught? Some we treasure. They usher us into life as we know it and bring us blessings that were far greater than we ever imagined. Will you marry me? What do you think we should name her? There is one question, however, that is the question. It's the one great question that we must all answer, and there's no other question that even compares to it in importance. Jesus had withdrawn from the crowds and the usual places of his ministry. He wanted to be alone with his closest followers, and so first he asked them who people thought he might be. And after a series of answers, Matthew gives us these words. Jesus said to them, "But what about you? Who do you say I am?" What others think about Jesus' identity isn't the issue. The issue is who I believe Jesus to be. But who do you say I am? The question jumps off the page of Matthew's gospel and into our laps. We must do something with it. Jesus' words reach across the cultural differences, the miles between us geographically, and the 2 millennia that separate us from the moment this question was first asked. The question challenges our settled approaches to life as modern Christians. The question challenges each of us to reach beyond our inherited faith, to own what we personally believe. Jesus has withdrawn from the masses to be alone with us. Jesus wants us to think about who he is and who he is to us. Jesus is asking this question of us, of me, and of you. But who do you say that I am? We'll talk more about the rest of this passage over the next couple of weeks. But for today, rather than share a few cheery words or theological words or motivational words or interpretive words or words that you've already heard before, I just want us to take some time today and this week to sit at the feet of Jesus and to listen as he asks each of us the question. But who do you say that I am? Hope you have a blessed day. God bless.